change your relationship as well.
Okay.
So I think, especially, I think that's what's helpful to start. So there's a foundation of some type of tool that people can use and partners can use when it comes to communication.
Like
Um,
what?
so, for example, um, like the Five Languages of Love, it's a classic book that's been out for, I believe, about 30 years.
Wow.
And Dr. Chapman is the one that wrote the book, Five Languages of Love. And if you don't mind, I would be happy to go over what those are because you probably know them. But just for those that are listening and watching your video,
Uh,
is that the five languages of love are affirmation, gifts, time, service, and touch. So I can go over those real briefly.
mhm.
So words of affirmation is complimenting your partner, a man or woman. So this doesn't matter if it's a male or female. So it's saying good things about that person and complimenting them. And the second one is gifts, and it's giving your partner a gift. And it doesn't matter the amount of money, just thinking about that person by giving them a gift. The third one is time, the gift of time. And that can be just sitting next to that your partner watching the football game or watching a movie, but just being physically next to that person. And the fourth one is the gift of service. That means doing something for the other person. That could be doing the dishes. That could be, um, uh, you know, I know getting gas in the car for your partner.
Mhm.
And the other one, the last one, is the gift of touch, and that doesn't have to be intimacy, but I mean sex, but it can be just touching, caressing, just being next to that person, kissing that person. And so again, this can be for men or women. Now, what's important in how these love languages work is that there's a free assessment that individuals can take online. It's free. It's an app that you can download or just go to Five Languages of Love, and there'll be an assessment. And then when you do the assessment, what happens is it tells you what your love language is. So, for example, I know what mine are. So my number one is words of affirmation and time. And so I love it when my husband says to me, "You look beautiful." Oh my gosh, he's just telling me that I am loved, that he loves me. Or you did a really good job. That to me, believe it or not, means more to me than $1 million. And I know that sounds really crazy, but that's what speaks love to me. Now, my husband, on the other hand, his number one is touch. So you can imagine that he's more touching, caressing. I'm not. So that's why it's really important that couples know what their love language is. So I'm going to give you an example why this is so important. So couples that are dating or married, this can apply to anyone. And in fact, these love languages can be applied to the workplace as well, and and teenagers and children. So this is universal. But I'm going to give you an example why this works. Um, so mine is love is words of affirmation. But I'll use my husband and I. This is not a real scenario, but I'm just going to give you an example. So mine is words of affirmation, and say my husband's is service. And we don't know each other's love language, but I think to myself, oh, my husband really wants a wonderful dinner, and I'm going to make him a dinner that he really loves, and then my husband, on the other hand, says he or he's thinking to himself, he read this article and doing the dishes and the laundry for a woman really turns her on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to surprise her after dinner, and I'm going to do the dishes. And meanwhile, we're not getting along, and I can't figure out why he doesn't love me and why my husband doesn't do this or do that. And meanwhile, in his head, he's trying everything he can, and he's doing everything he can. He doesn't understand what's my problem. What is my issue? So I make this dinner, and I'm waiting for him to tell me that he loved the dinner. Doesn't say anything, and that you did a good job, and nothing. But what does he do? Now he's thinking that he's doing the right thing. He gets up, does the dishes, and I'm thinking to myself, what on earth is he doing the dishes for? I can do the dishes. I don't mind if the dishes sit in the sink all night. I just want him to say that I've done a good job. And that's where the conflict can be, because he's thinking he's doing the right thing, he's not hitting, he's not doing anything. He's not hitting it at all. And then the tension builds and it grows and grows and grows. And we can't figure out what the problem is. And then what happens is we stuff it and we become resentful. So once you find out what that love language is for your partner, then you can start fulfilling that need that that person has. So for example, we've figured out what each other's love language is, and I'm going to tell you, I don't do this very well because I am not a touchy person. I'm a words of affirmation person, and I like conversation, and I like having very intellectual conversations with people. And I'll tell you, that'll turn me on all night long. If I can have an intellectual conversation and hear words of affirmation, I'm good. Now, my husband, on the other hand, wants me to sit next to him watching football games. That just drives me absolutely insane. And then he wants to just touch. And so we have to compromise. So because of that, we've sat down, we've discussed it, and we both have agreed, because in order to make the relationship work, we both have to compromise, right, and we both have to sacrifice. So that's an example.
Could you break down those affirmations? Not affirmations, but 5 lists.
Love language?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is words of affirmation.
Okay. And can we pause right there?
Mm-hmm.
Words of affirmation. That sounds so cool, because I think that everyone needs that. Everyone needs to be validated in a sense.
Yeah.
They need to feel loved. They need to feel wanted. They want to feel that someone cares about them.
Yeah.
And to hear it expressed does a whole lot, especially for children. In child rearing. So go ahead. I just wanted to mention that because that's a good one.
I'm really passionate about this. So I want to tell you an example. So as you know, I was at a funeral this weekend, and on the last show when I was talking to you, I had conflict with a woman in my life, and it's been going on for 4 years. And I came to peace with that. I just thought, okay, I may never see her again. I'm okay. Well, this weekend I happened to be at a gathering with her on Friday night before the funeral, and there was people that were asked just to gather that were mutual friends of this person that passed. And again, she was there, and I've come to peace with the fact that I'm okay. Well, she pulled me aside towards the end of the night, which shocked me. First of all, she shocked me. And she said, I have not talked to this woman in 3 to 4 years. And there's been such conflict between us because we just weren't able to communicate. It all came down to communication, really. And I kept trying, but she didn't see it that way, and didn't. We weren't on the same page, I should say. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she said, "Could I give you a hug?" And I said, "Absolutely." Mm-hmm. And she apologized over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you what that meant, but this is what was really powerful. So it goes back to words of affirmation. She said, "People have told me, just don't think about Jeanie, just let her go." She goes, "I can't, because I will always have a special place in her heart for Jeanie." And she told me that. And that, I can't tell you, Mac, what that meant to me. And the healing began in a relationship that was torn apart for the last 4 years. And I think the closer you are with somebody, and when you really mean something to that person, they mean something to you, if there's conflict, it doesn't happen overnight to resolve it. It takes some time, and it takes healing, and it takes forgiveness. And what I want to say is words of affirmation are so powerful, because within a second when she said that, I mean, it was just, and asked for forgiveness. It was like all those years just melted away of any anger and bitterness. And I just felt like we were back where we were at 4 years ago. We were close friends. And it's so powerful.
So that was basically a conflict resolution right there.
Yeah.
And, within the language of love,
right,
using tools from the language of love, conflict resolution. And it's dealing with conflict resolution real quick. A lot of us don't know where to begin, because our egos are a facade. They're blocking our vision. It's like a cloak over our eyes. So once we remove the veil, then we can see clearly what it is that we need to address, I believe, and that's communication is essential. And I always stress it because at the end of the day, the Neanderthals knew how to communicate. They knew just that means get your ass over there and go get that cattle for the meal tonight. You know what I mean? So communication, whether it's verbal, sign language, whatever, communication is essential so that we can get things going. And in regards to relationships, repairing relationships, I can use myself as an example. I'm one of those guys, once you burn a bridge with me, it's over. Okay. And usually it's because I've made that decision to cut someone off. And they would like to communicate to find out why. I don't give them the chance. I know it's probably not good to be that way, but it's also a defense mechanism that keeps me encapsulated in my little zone where I can keep doing what I'm doing and not be distracted by people's, people's issues.
Can I ask you a question on that? Because I know you shared that before, and if you're not comfortable answering this, please don't. But I've thought a lot about that, what you've said, and I think it's easier when you're not close to somebody to just cut them off. Because I'm with you, I do that. It's easy. It really is easy for me to do that because I like peace in my life,
right.
And I really like the people around me that can make me a better person. And I can make them a better person as well. But it's mutual. So we both are doing that. But let's say you cut somebody off. Do you think that if they came and asked for forgiveness, would you be open to that relationship being restored if they said they were sorry for what they did? Would you be open to that or not?
Before I answer that,
Yeah.
I have to take a swig. Okay. First, I'm going to say I'm a man of God. And with the man of God, the power that he invested in me and the forgiveness that he gave me, of course, I'll forgive anyone for whatever. And believe me, there's 3 things on this earth that in my heart, I can't forgive. I can't forgive a child molester. I can't forgive a rapist. And, I have problems working with liars. Okay? Because if you lie, you'll steal. If you steal, you'll cheat. If you cheat, you'll kill. So if you show me the signs of a person that has already been laid out in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Torah, that these are the type of people to avoid, then I have a manuscript on who I should associate with. Forgiveness is in me. My God is an all-forgiving God. And he has bestowed that in me, and I strive with it and I struggle with it every day. But forgiving someone has nothing to do with repairing a relationship. Once that relationship, I make that judgment that it's not conducive for my growth, that it's actually harmful for me to continue to affiliate with you, then I forgive you, but we have to move on and go our separate ways, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. This is deep, It's easier to stay really surface, isn't it? I mean, when you have a conversation and
no, that's why we're having conversation.
Yeah.
So we can scratch the surface.
I know.
We can get to under the epidermis. Let's get there. Let's go there. I mean, you asked a question. I just want to make sure that I answer it. So if I didn't answer your question, let me know, please.
I think you did. And you know what? Boy, this is great that we're having this conversation because you know something? I don't know if this is the controlling part of me. I have to stop back and just be kind of self-aware right now because maybe I think about it this way. Maybe I think if you and I did something to offend you.
Okay.
And I would want you to tell me first if there was anything I could do to correct the situation. Because if our relationship was that important, I if our relationship was that important, you felt it was, and I felt it was, I would want to know what was doing wrong, that I could correct it because I value you as a person, that I would be willing to change. So I would, if our relationship was that important. Well, I don't know if that made any sense. I wouldn't want to be cut off that fast. I guess is what I'm saying.
I got
would
you.
want you to forgive me if I did something.
I got you. But check this out. Okay.
Okay.
It goes back to God. Okay. If you walk in the spiritual realm of existence, whether you sin, whatever, if you have the spiritual principles, your spirituality is going to tell you who's right for your soul.
Yes.
Because like spirits attract each other. Okay. If I'm striving to get to paradise, then I can't get there if I'm hanging out with someone who's doing all types of wrong. And if I've, and to help you out, each circumstance or each relationship is situational. So you can't make a blanket case for every relationship because, for instance, if I trusted you with, say, hypothetically, my wife, right? And you slept with her. You violated me on so many levels. So yes, I could forgive you, but could I trust you in my house now?
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I got it. You would never look at me the same.
There's levels. And I'll give you another one.
Yes.
I don't like to use analogies too much, but sometimes you have to paint pictures for people, not just you. But if you and I had a business, we're business partners. We have an LLC together, and you have control of the account just as well as I do. You have the business card, I have the business card. You know that I'm struggling with the mortgage. You know, my child is, or my daughter or son or whatever is off in college, and times are hard right now. My dog almost died, so I drained the last little bit of money out of my personal savings. So I come to you and I say that, look, I need to take a small loan out on the business, out of the business account. I go to look in the account and it's negative $5,000 when we were up 10. You didn't tell me that you were proliferating money out of the business. You didn't tell me this. So now I forgive you, but can I trust you with business again?
I think you make a really good point. I think trust is huge. I think trust is number one in a friendship, in any relationship. And thank you, Matt, because thank you. That's a really good point.
Once you violate trust with me, then, I definitely don't keep you on that level of high self-esteem or regard in my life. I've already made that quick decision. I pushed the panic button on you. Mm-hmm. I said, this person is a red flag, and there's signs that lead up to that. Someone doesn't just slip into your cipher. Mm-hmm. You allow them into your cipher. Mm-hmm. And that's how they can infiltrate. And I'm not saying all people are bad. I'm just saying that, we tend to we tend to give people the benefit of the doubt too much, for whatever reason. We just like, oh, he's a good person or she's a good person. Yeah, but that good person does bad things.
Wow. I'm really glad I asked you to clarify, because you make a really good point. And I think that's what communication is all about. Yes. See, because now I feel much better after you explain that. Before, I'm like, what? I mean, I was afraid that you were talking about something really small. I don't even know what. I can't even think of anything right now off the top of my head. But now that you explain that, that makes perfect sense. And I have a really hard time when someone lies to me all the time. We know when someone's not being truthful because of our instinct and our gut. And plus, when you know that someone's body language and what they're saying are not lining up, it's really clear. It's really obvious. And you keep giving, and you want to believe them, and you keep giving them chances after chances. And finally, you're just at the point where it's like, I gotta let him go or her go. Because
I got a good one for you. And I am so sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're good.
Children. We love our children.
Yeah.
Life and death. We love them. right?
Mm-hmm.
They can piss us off to the point where we want to disown them, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You still love them,
Right.
right? But at some point, you have to cut the umbilical cord, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they go off on their own and become men or women
Mm-hmm.
from the lessons that you taught them and sent them on the world.
Yes.
And sometimes you, even though you're blood, you have to make those decisions, that are not easy. But is a toxic person good for you? Are you trying to help that person? Is this relationship for me or is it for you? Is it for you to heal you or to try to redeem something, or whatever else, whatever was going on in your life? Are you trying to save someone? A lot of us get caught up in guilt. We have guilt relationships. It's not because, I really like you. It's because I don't know. I'm making up some hypothetical stuff, but in reality, we make up guilt relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm done with guilt relationships. I deal with sincere relationships that come from here. If it doesn't come from here, if it comes from here, I don't. It's not a friendship. It can't be a friendship first. I have to feel your energy from here. It has to come from this area, not from this area or the lower part, because it's not sincere. And when you build a foundation on sand, inevitably it'll sink. If you build it on a firm foundation, it can only get stronger. You can build up on it.
And, and what I'm hearing you say is, I, I, I can actually tell that you're speaking from the heart, and you're speaking from experience, because you're speaking with passion. And I get what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. In fact, I think the older we get, sometimes that circle gets smaller, because the people that we trust, and we value, and that connection we savor and we hold very dear. And I heard a doctor say once that, if you have even 3 to 5 people in your small circle, you're very fortunate. The people that you can trust.
Mm.
And I've at my age too, I find that my circle does get smaller. But even in a relationship, you know, and even as a parent with your children, well, my husband's very even, very level-headed, but I've only seen him just lose it with his children and with me. Everybody else he doesn't care about. But I agree with you, and it's people that are closest to you that can make you so angry,
Yeah.
and because you've invested so much in these individuals, and then when they disappoint you, and there's distrust, some very close friends, and I'm embarrassed to tell you, Mac, I never knew I could get that angry, and I think it's because I love them,
Mhm.
and I was devastated and so hurt that they took advantage of that trust.
Right.
And and betrayal is something that's a word that we don't want to use, because we think betrayal only happens in a intimate or romantic relationship. No, betrayal can happen in friendships.
Right.
Like, I'll give you an example of one. You can have a work relationship with somebody, and just
Mhm.
like a business partner. And so for example, I could have somebody that I want to partner with in business, and I pour all my energy with this person, and I trust this person, and I'm thinking they're going to help me and support me. And then they have a better offer, and they never told me. And one day they come and tell me, okay, I'm sorry, but tomorrow I'm going to be leaving, this relationship. I got another offer over here. Well,
Mhm.
I'm going to feel betrayed, because I poured all my energy into this person, and I thought we were moving forward. And there
Can I
wasn't
pause
the
you? Let me
communication.
pause you. I'm so sorry,
Mhm.
but I have to pause you.
Yeah.
You answered the same question that you asked me just now.
Yeah.
And you do
Yeah.
exactly what I do.
Hmm.
See, our experiences are different in life because we're different people, but we have the same concepts. We just don't know how to conceptualize them. we, you know,
Yes. And that's the power of what you're doing. And I think I'm so excited about what you're doing, because you know what? You and I are so opposite. I mean,
yes.
you're male, I'm female,
Mhm,
white, black, and
mhm.
yet we still believe the same thing. We
Yeah.
still value the same thing in relationships and communication.
Because we live under the same sun.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, we're all you men and you women.
Yes.
we're just one race, really, and that's
Mhm.
the human race, mankind, womankind. Once Elon Musk and all those guys, man, from SpaceX and the Russians, and who else? European coalition. Once they get that space station put together, it's not going to matter if you're white, black, yellow, brown, red, whatever. It's only going to matter if you got greenbacks, yen, euros,
Mhm.
pounds,
Mhm.
whatever else. You know what I mean? If you got
Mhm.
those, then that 1% can go out yonder that they're building over there. Okay, they're building a yonder that's not
Mhm.
going to be inclusive. It's
Nope.
not all inclusive. Okay,
Mm-mm.
so we have to figure this out while we're down here. Okay, we got to stop being distracted by a lot of the social issues when a lot of our personal issues are affecting our judgment. And that's why
Mhm.
a lot of people are on edge. I mean, depression is real, and we're living in some times where depression is at an all-time high, and people just can't figure it out. They don't know what's going on. They've never been in situations where they had to face their spouse, where they had to spend 18 hours or maybe even
Mhm.
24 hours with their
Yes.
wife. And now
Mhm.
they're with somebody that they don't really like.
They don't like them. Yeah.
They're spending time with a person that they don't really like. And
And
they
you
can't
make
get away from it.
and you make a really good point about the depression. And I wanted to share this with you. The other day I was getting my hair cut, and I was in a salon in Scottsdale because I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's a salon that has other salons in there. And I looked outside and I saw this young man, probably a mid late 20s, early 30s, have a panic attack, and he was grabbing his heart, so it almost looked like he was having a heart attack. But and then somebody else came to kind of calm him down. So I kind of watched him. He looked like he was fine. And then I went outside the salon, just in the hallway to the restroom, and there was another woman having a complete meltdown. She was crying, and another woman has having to try to control her, or help console her. And I'm like, whoa, my goodness. I mean, this was just in a matter of 15 minutes, just looking around me, seeing the emotions just pouring out of these individuals. I don't know what the issue was, but
Uh-huh.
obviously you could just tell that they had just had it, you
Okay.
know?
Okay.
And I think that's happening a lot where, they don't know how to deal with their emotions, and they haven't had the opportunity to be really self-aware before until, excuse me, this all happened
Right.
because we've been so busy.
We've
Excuse me.
been able to run and maneuver away from the issue. See, last time we spoke, we did touched on communicating and we moving away from our significant other, when we have issues or whatever the case may be. I sometime later down that conversation, I mentioned that sometimes that could be a trigger. And if we run from a situation when we feel as though we need air, and that becomes a habit, then that's our way of avoiding the issue. And a lot of us found a defense mechanism to avoid the issue. We don't face it. So we use what is a clinical prescription. Remove yourself from the situation. We use that and we run with it. We use it so much that it becomes our crutch, which
Yeah.
also stifles us from growing in the relationship. It actually kills the relationship because when you're able to run, because I used to like to run, I hop in the car in a minute and I'll be somewhere else doing whatever. And it was
Yeah.
an excuse. I would always wait for an excuse to go out there and hit the streets until I said to myself, you know what? I'm burning up a lot of gas. I'm wasting a lot of money and a lot of time just because I'm mad and I want to go out here and prove a point. No, let me stay my ass right here and talk to her and let her know, look, you pissed me off. Let's work this shit out some kind of way. And if you don't want to work it out, then I'm gonna help you understand some kind of way. See, I'm real
Mhm.
creative. Okay, you'll
Yeah.
you'll get it one way, way or the other. And I may be wrong, but see, I'll concede when I'm wrong. And that's where practice makes perfect. You said it a long time ago. You said it a couple of weeks ago. You know, um, in a relationship, once you get to know a person, you get complacent, you get comfortable. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even know what hurts your spouse anymore. You don't know
Right.
what triggers them anymore. You know some of their basic triggers, but people grow and their triggers grow too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you started out with 3 triggers, now you got 10
Hmm.
because you've created those. You planted those seeds for different triggers. So now it's like every time I come into the kitchen and you're in there, I got to make sure I don't bump you. And you're my woman? Is that a relationship?
Oh, right.
So, you walk on eggshells in a relationship, and then you feel as though the best way to, go blow off some steam, go for a walk, go to the bar, go to a club, or go wherever with your girlfriend, your boy, wherever you want to go and do. It's running.
Mhm.
You're not facing it. And that's what we as Americans do. We run a lot in relationships, especially because we have the liberty to do it. We have the liberty.
Boy, that was a really good illustration because I think those triggers keep adding
Yeah.
up, and then it can just take one small thing and boom, and you're like, why is that person all upset? I mean, you're just stunned. What
Exactly.
happened? Yeah,
Exactly.
and
So
it gets worse the longer you're married. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, you got a bag of this stuff. Oh
you
my
got a
word.
you got a whole big bag of bullshit,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
you have to sort that stuff out some kind of way. Clean out your closet. You got a dirty linen closet or an old linen closet.
Yeah.
Hopefully not a dirty linen closet, but an old linen closet. You keep your good linen in the master bedroom. Your guest linen in the hallway. So sometimes you have to go and clean it out because it gets old. You got to do something different. You got to clean the closet out. And sometimes cleaning that closet out is taking a real serious evaluation of what it is you're doing. I've come to a point in my life where I leave everything open for reality. Everything is open for reality. My existence on this planet is not promised tomorrow. So if
Right.
I'm miserable today, I have to do something to fix it today. I'm not gonna wait for tomorrow. Okay. And if you're the cause of me being miserable, I have to make a decision, no matter what it may cost in the long run. It may be a big price for me to pay, but I have to understand that look, life is too short. People are dying,
Yeah.
at a disproportionate rate in America, not just across the world, but in America. And
Yeah.
being that life is so short, I don't want to live a miserable life and die a miserable death. So I try to keep people away from me uh, that can disrupt my peace and harmony. You know,
Right. And
and
I want to share something. I'm going to go a different direction. And you're the one that leads this, so you just take me right back if I'm going the wrong
uh,
direction here. But I want to talk about something that I think people don't like to talk about. And as you see under my name or alongside my name, it's lifelong love and intimacy. And I
mhm,
just want to touch on intimacy for a moment because um, I think a big part of a relationship, and I'm talking about a marriage because when people are dating and live together, there needs to be a commitment. When you're in a relationship, a marriage, there is a commitment there, and when you're not, I'm not judging, so please understand when I'm saying this. But when couples are living together, there isn't that commitment all the time, so it's easier to leave. But when you're married, there's a lot more involved because divorce costs a lot of money and it can cost you like $500,000 or more ultimately. So people are going to think twice and they're going to maybe think about working harder in the relationship. But I believe what happens outside the bedroom affects what happens inside the bedroom. And I believe if couples get along outside the bedroom, it can make amazing intimacy. And
mhm,
so a lot of times I hear women, and I'm going to talk about women now because that's who I work with,
right,
and is that I find that a lot of times women find that intimacy isn't as important. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you for the record, intimacy is very important
Okay.
in a relationship.
Right.
And it's important to me. And I can speak from a woman's perspective that um, it, it intimacy brings a couple close together. And really, I heard this research done. I read this research in that for a man and for a woman to feel close, they need to have it. A man needs to help a woman orgasm at least once a month to feel close. And so I want to say for the your audience here, especially I want to speak to women for a moment. If you're feeling that intimacy isn't very important and that's not important in your relationship, I would really challenge you because I believe it's so important because it's not only important for you, but it's important for your partner. And if for any reason you don't feel um, that you're struggling with your libido, I want to shout from the mountaintops, there's help out there because as we age, our libido can decrease, but you don't have to go through that. You don't have to feel that way. And so from personal experience, I went through menopause very early. And so I did research. I've spent my whole adult life, researching this and trying to help other women, feel sexy again and feel alive and enjoy their partner and have the best sex ever. And it's
Mhm.
possible. So I'm just putting that out there. If it doesn't, if they don't feel it or they're having symptoms and they're going through menopause, to please get help because it's out there and you can feel 21 again. And I'm a testimony to tell you I feel 21. And I and there and I read this sex doctor that said if you can have um, amazing sex that curls your toes and it happens once a year, that's an amazing sex life. And I'm like, oh no, it's not. Oh no. Oh no. And I'll tell you something, if a woman feels that way, the man
Yeah.
doesn't feel that way because sex is amazing. And
Yeah.
there's love making and there's sex, and that's a whole nother show. But I
Mhm.
wanted to go there for a moment because I'm going to speak from a woman's perspective. Women love sex just as men do. And
Mhm.
when that's aligned and those triggers are addressed and all that, and it's working outside the bedroom,
Mhm.
working through conflict and stuff, and you bring it into the bedroom, you can have the most mind-blowing sex you ever could imagine. And that keeps a relationship going. And I'll tell you, I've never read once or ever studied relationships where someone said, you know what? We had the best sex ever, but I just didn't want to stay married. Never heard that at all. It's always been outside the marriage or outside the bedroom, and it's
Mhm.
been triggers that were triggered, and they just never were able to communicate. And
Mhm.
so, because they weren't able to communicate, they brought that in the bedroom, and it just wasn't jiving because they held on to it once they got in there. I know that was a lot, but did any of that make? I hope that made sense.
A whole lot of sense, and it's a part of the conversation.
Oh, good.
Communication,
Yeah.
communication. For instance, look, I'm like a Sergeant Payne type of guy. You piss me off, I can't get erect. I'm just in
Thank
one
you
mode.
for saying. Thank you, Mac. Thank
I'm
you. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I just want to stop. I just want to cheer and just shout. Thank you for saying that because women need to hear that.
Yes.
If you are pissing, excuse the language, but if you're making your partner upset
Yeah.
and you think they're going to go in the bedroom and have great sex, you got to be kidding me. That's
Well,
not going to work.
I don't know how other men handle their women. Okay, I don't
Mhm.
know how their relationships work, but I know for me, throughout my history, that a woman that pisses me off, she knows that she can't get any sex from me. And for some
Right.
reason, I've found that some females actually like to piss men off. I don't know if it's to turn them away from the sex or the thrill of the chase, the fight and then make up and break up type of thing.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was cool with that, but now
Mhm.
my focus is a little different. My focus is
Mhm.
I'm 50, I'm an older guy, so my focus, my goals, my ambitions are different in different places, and they really don't have much to do with you know, my woman. And, unfortunately, if she hears this, she knows exactly where I'm trying to go with this. I'm not invested to the point where I'm not going to continue to pursue my goals, dreams, and ambitions. And whoever it is, if they hold me back from attaining the goal, that I think that we should reach together, then we have to reevaluate that relationship
Hmm.
before this relationship disintegrates. And it
Right.
doesn't disintegrate overnight. It's like a piece of paper
Hmm.
that if you don't preserve it, it will disintegrate. Okay,
Hmm.
it's called natural erosion. It's natural, but you
Hmm.
can facilitate that faster with your actions. Okay, and
Yes,
like I told
and
you,
love, and that's what love is. Love
mhm,
is an action. And so there's actually two stages of love. And that first one, that infatuation and that lust and that energy
yes,
that's so powerful,
yes,
statistics shows that only lasts for 2 years. And then after that, then people are disappointed. That's when you find people moving on and they don't stay in their relationships.
mhm,
Because what they need to understand is this the second stage of that relationship of love is an effort and it's intention and it's a commitment and it's making it work. If you truly love somebody, you're going to make an effort to make it work.
right,
And I interview people that have been married 40, 50, 60 years, and they all say it's effort and it's sticking it out because it's worth it when you stick it
right,
out and you work through the hard times. But I want to give an example, and I'm only here to help and guide couples and individuals so they can make better choices.
right,
But for example, for myself, I've been married 33 years. I don't have a perfect marriage, but I work on it. So
right.
when other people are building their career and working up the corporate ladder, I, my husband and I were always working on our relationship. And I was working up corporate America, and I wanted to be CEO of a corporation, but I got laid off with 500 other individuals, which, it devastated me. But on the other hand, because my foundation of my marriage was solid, it didn't rip me apart. It didn't
Mm,
destroy me. I mean, I was devastated, but it didn't rip me apart. But we've also made choices in our relationship. Because I live in Arizona, the salaries don't aren't as high as maybe other parts of the country, like maybe the East Coast that you're familiar with,
yes.
and West Coast. But so we decided that we would still stay here and work in the same state, in the same city, so that we could be with each other.
Mm,
Because if we start to separate, it's going to cause us to pull apart and it's going to start causing a distance. And I saw that with my mom, my parents. My parents were married 55, 56 years, I believe, before my dad passed away. And my in-laws were married 65, close to 70 years before my father-in-law passed away. And what I found with my parents, when my dad worked out of state, the relationship was really strained. And I saw that personally. And I saw that with a family member as well, where one went to New York and worked in Wall Street, made a lot of money, but we could all see that that relationship was really strained. So
mhm,
because Kurt and I saw that, we decided that, we would always make sure that we worked in the same city, even though our salaries would be less. It was because what we had to decide what was more important was it our relationship or our careers, and we came to that term because that realization because it's easy for a corporation to lay you off, and it's important what is more important, the money or your relationship. And we decided it was our relationship. I don't want to start all over again. That's me personally, because I have a lot invested in my relationship, even though it's not perfect. And I will tell you, being married as long as we are, you still have to be adventuresome and you still have to be creative. I'm wild. I will be the first one to admit I'm extremely wild. My husband is not. So I'm the adventuresome one. I'm the one that comes up with ideas. Let's go try this. Let's go do this. And because my marriage is important and my relationship is important.
mhm.
But again, I say all that because when you're in a relationship, you're going to have to sacrifice many times and be open to do that. But I believe if you just hang in there, if it's something that you want, you'll have the benefits in the long run if it's something that you both want. If you don't both want it, well then that's a different story.
Man, you said a lot, right? But a couple of things stood out. One thing in
Okay.
particular, right? Absence of one makes
Yeah.
another's heart grow fonder, right?
Hmm.
But if you stay away too long, it'll make that motherfucker wonder.
Exactly. And if your needs aren't being met, you're opening that door and it can be very dangerous if they're
Yeah.
gone too long. And again, everybody has needs. So
Yes.
it's just important. It's just to find out what's important in that. And you said something very important. Each couple's different. So what I say can be something different for another couple. You might have two. You might have a couple that one works on the East Coast and one works on the West Coast, and they're happy. They love it. Me, that wouldn't work because I'm a people person. So I like to be around people. I like to be around my husband. And so that would be too difficult for me. Plus, I like sex. So I'm telling you, that ain't working.
So I'll tell you, going back to what I said, you anger me. It's like I've tried it. I've tried so many times. Pissed off. I can't get erect, and sometimes that can linger to the point where I'm like, okay, damn, it's been like 3 days. I ain't had no sex. Hold on, let me fix something real quick. Let me fix this real quick.
Hey, I like hearing you say 3 days and not like 3 years. So that's great. Yeah, that's good.
I went without sex for 8 years.
You did?
Yeah.
You did.
As an adult. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was hard. But I'll tell you what I had to do.
Yeah.
I had to stimulate myself here with all the memories that I had, and also books, magazines and stuff like that, So I've learned how to appreciate women on a whole other level. I want to be your friend. I don't just want to have sex with you. I want to have sex with your mind, because the mind is the first place that I have sex with a woman. If you can't stimulate, like you said, if you can't stimulate me with an interesting conversation, then it's like, let's get it over with. Come on, what are you going to do? You're going to do this or what? But if you give me a great conversation, I want to make love to you.
Yes, and there's a difference between lovemaking and sex. You nailed it. Exactly. Yes. And lovemaking is so much more fun than just sex anyway.
And, I've had a lot of sex, and I haven't made love too much, to be honest with you.
Really?
I haven't made too much love in my life. And I think it's me. See, I know how to place blame where it's needed, right? A lot of us, we want to be this perfect, person. We think we got everything covered. I think that because of my past experiences with incarceration prevents me, or has prevented me from really letting all the way go. So there's some PTSD there, or some stress with, some relationship stress, distrust issues, So, that's on a personal level, just to, put it out there on the table, that I recognize my issue. So I have to be a little bit more cognizant of how I go into it with my woman. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if I piss her off, I have to understand what triggers her. Maybe she got something going on. I have to, think about what's in. And see, this is what I try not to do. Get into people's head. Because when you get into people's head, it's like an enigma inside of a puzzle, inside of a riddle, in a maze. How you can't even figure out your own mind, what's going on in your head. How can you try to analyze someone else? So if you don't communicate, then I won't know what's going on. And I don't do all this imaginary thinking, hypotheticals, and I'm trying to, figure what's going on. No. Let's keep it real simple. What's happening? What's going on? Did I do something to offend you? Let's try to fix this thing. If I spoke to you wrong, if I didn't have dinner prepared for you, or I forgot to get you that gift that you wanted for your birthday, and I got you something else instead, whatever the issue may be, I'm just making hypothetical issues up. None of these things apply to my life. But if they are those type of things, then I'm at the point in my life where I'm just so cool with, look, let's work it out. I'm an easygoing dude now, and the reason why I became this easygoing dude is because too many people are dying. I'm keeping it real simple. This world is changing at a rapid pace, and people need to wake up. If you have a significant other, cherish that person. Show them that you care about them. Make an effort to change, because that little effort will show them that you still give a shit. So that's why I'm continuously working on my relationships with people, And sometimes that means cutting them off because I made the wrong decision. See, and this is where we have to go back and say, look, I made flawed decisions. I have bad decision making. I embraced, I allowed someone who wasn't good, who shouldn't have been in my life. I allowed someone in my life that shouldn't have been in my life, but I manipulated them into my life so that it can fit whatever the cause or the reason was that they made it into my life. Because if you think about it, some people that we deal with, we know that who is this person? I mean, because they can hook me up with a job, or because they can, they're a good mechanic, or because, whatever, they can help me get a promotion, is the reason why you mess with these people. And then you find out that this person's a piece of crap. And it's not even a sexual relationship. I'm just talking about an amicable friendship, cordial relationship, work relationship. And you're a working woman like I'm a working man, so you know what I'm talking about. You can probably give me examples of people that you say, oh, she's a backstabber, or oh, he's a backstabber. How do they backstab you? They backstab you because you entrusted them. You gave them trust. They violated your trust. Now you call them a backstabber. The person was a snake in the beginning, and he or she told you, look, I am a snake. I will bite you. But you thought that you and your humanitarian ways that you could change a snake and turn it into a worm, a less harmful creature. That life doesn't work like that. People tell you who they are. You just have to listen, look, and observe.
Well, and that snake probably told you in a way that they were a snake. So when they did bite you, they said, hey, I'm a snake. I ain't changing. I've always been a snake. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I get you. I totally understand. And you know what? You said something really powerful. And I don't want to be an emotional person, but I guess I just need, after all these years, I need to admit that I am emotional. But
yeah,
I got really choked up. Because let me just back up. The reason I don't like being emotional, because I just think as a woman, I feel like it's a sign of weakness, because I'm a professional woman and I don't want to show any sign of weakness. But when we talk about this, I can't help it, because you, as a Black man, said something very powerful. And this is why I'm getting emotional, is that you shared a lot about yourself personally, which takes a lot of courage. I am just blown away. And it just makes me respect you even more. And about just having sex versus making love, and why. And I'm like, Mac, I'm sure so many people feel that. It doesn't matter if they're Black, white, male, female. They feel that way, and they don't talk about it.
No.
And so I'm really impressed that you are willing to share that. I really am. And you'd be surprised that, so I deal with a lot of people that say that. But I'm so impressed that you have said that with all your experience, and as a proud Black man was willing to open up and be so honest and vulnerable. Wow.
And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, because culturally, we are a people we're not supposed to be sensitive.
Yeah.
A Black male. Stereotypically, we are not supposed to be sensitive. We're not supposed to be emotional. We're not supposed to be caring. We're not supposed to be pensive and loving. I'm all of those things. And guess what? I don't care what the stereotype is. I don't care what anyone thinks about me. I know that I have one life on this planet Earth. I'm trying to get to the hereafter, the next level of this living thing, which this physical flesh won't make. So spiritually, I have to continue to grow. And if I'm going to have this fake shield up about who I am, then that means I'm not going to make it to my destination, because I haven't worked on this thing called tangibility. I haven't worked on carnality, physicality. My thing is spirituality. So I'm always willing to change inside this cranium, this big cranium. Inside the cranium, my spirit has no color. It has no, it's androgynous, and when it leaves this flesh, it's going to go be with other androgynous spirits. And whatever lesson that I didn't learn here is going to probably stop me from getting to the next level because there's different levels of existence. See, I don't want to get too deep and too far because you might think I'm crazy. But
No, I don't think you're crazy.
I do believe that there's different levels of existence, and this is just one plane of existence, the physical plane. And once we perish, or the physical goes back to the essence, because this is nothing but a mere vitamin to the earth, our body. It replenishes the earth so that more earth could continue to grow, more earth can continue to flourish. Vitamin to the earth. So when we go to that next level, what did we bring with us? Like you said, well, like I'm saying, that knapsack that we carry, our abattoir of information, our library of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. What did you attain on this planet? There's no excuse once you leave here. Once we leave here, it's a vast universe that if you don't have your ticket, you're going to miss that express train to get there. You'll get the bus, which will take much longer. It might take millennium. It may take 2 millenniums. While that millennium that you're working on to get to that next existent, that next plane of existence, I'll be there in maybe a decade, 100 years. I don't know, but the bottom line is, I'm just saying that we have to condition ourselves while we're amongst the living, so that if you do have a bit of spirituality in you, that you'll be able to go to your maker, and whatever that next plane of existence for you is. So it's life for me is always work, man. It's an ongoing process, and there's no boundaries with it. That growth process. It doesn't. I don't color boundaries. No boundaries. Information is information, no matter who it comes from. And sometimes the information that we should grasp, it'll go right by us if we're not prepared to receive it. And it could have been some great information that could have helped connect the dots to some things in our lives, you know? So I'm kind of stubborn. I'll admit that. I'm kind of stubborn. Um, I don't move to the left or to the right too much when it comes to people, because usually I don't really have people right here with me too much. You know what I mean? So I don't invest in new people too much, because for me, like I told you, I have trust issues. So investing in someone new is like a big thing for me. It's work. So imagine me in a relationship, how much work that is. You know what I mean?
You know, I, I, I just want to say, I really hope, I don't know how to, I guess I don't know how to say this, but I just really hope that this show really blesses a lot of people, because you were so vulnerable. People need to hear what you're saying. A lot more people need to hear this, and they need to see people like yourself that are leading by example, that are willing to be open. I have learned a lot just being on your show tonight, and just you being so vulnerable, and you're so good about um, making it all about the individual or people. It doesn't matter the race. It doesn't matter the gender. You
Right.
are just so good about being so open and just letting people see that we're human. And that's what we need to understand. And I just really appreciate you being so open. I really honor that. And I'm actually very honored that I was able to be on the show to hear that, because that, in my opinion, from what I see from my age and what I've seen with other men,
Mhm.
that what you did tonight took a lot of courage. And I think if you lead by example, other men will come forward to their significant other and be open, because that's what we need to hear. We need to hear our men be open, because once they are, we'll be able to communicate better. Because um, I don't want to use you as an example, but let's just say another man was experiencing the PTSD, and they're in their head and they're having all these issues, and they don't tell their partner. what happens is, as a woman, I'm just going to say if it's male and female, the
Mhm.
female takes that on and she thinks it's her fault. If there's no communication, she blames herself. She may not think she's beautiful enough, she's not skinny enough, or whatever it is, whatever issues are. And so she'll beat herself up. And women beat themselves up a lot anyway.
Right.
And then if she doesn't feel like she's pleasing her partner, it makes it even worse. And then so she'll suffer internally. But by you being so open tonight, I really hope that more men are open to their partners so that they can understand that it's not them, that he or she is willing to work with them, and so that they can come together and be united and make it a beautiful thing. And I also want to say, people I've heard people say this over the years, that it's just not worth it. But if you truly love somebody, it is worth it. I promise you, if you're both willing to work it out
Yeah.
and there's forgiveness, oh, I'm telling you, you get to that other side of
Mhm.
that relationship through that challenge. Well, I'm telling you something. Makeup sex is amazing if you know how to do it.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
great. So don't lose hope if there's people listening tonight that just doesn't think there is. If you can just get your other part, if you get your partner to open up. And you know what? If there's women that are listening out here, and you have a partner that's not willing to open up, get your partner to listen to the show, because it may change your relationship. Because what you did tonight was powerful, Mac. It really was.
Thank you. I'll review this and I'll try to figure out what's so powerful about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just started this, podcasting thing, or broadcasting thing rather, and I'm usually the one interviewing people. So this show is taking a different route where I'm actually getting exposed. The
And I
blankets.
apologize. I didn't mean to do it. So I respect you, and I honestly didn't mean to do that.
No, it's all good. Don't apologize for that, because my life is an open book anyway. Look up my name. I'm in Google search or all those, anywhere you want to find me, I'm there. Okay. I've done nothing in my life that I'm ashamed of. I've done nothing of my life that I have to watch the law of. So nobody's looking for me. I mean, I hope they're looking for my show.
Yes,
But
I hope so
I mean, the IRS might want a little bit of
too. That may not be a bad thing. That's cool. You're doing
So
well then.
they got to get online with the credit bureau. Okay. So I got issues too. My life is not perfect, but the bottom line is that I grew from the person I used to be to this guy that I am now. I love this guy. This guy is cool. You know, it's not narcissism, or it's not, it's self-love. I really love me. And when you really love yourself and you can pick attributes about yourself that you can articulate to other people about yourself, then you know that you're working on something. I have a lot of things that I can say, positive affirmations that I can endow myself with.
Mhm.
But it would sound narcissistic. But if you don't know me, it would sound narcissistic. If you knew me and knew my story, then you would know that it was a long journey to get to where I am right now. And I
But
love.
but
Mhm.
Mac, what's
Yeah.
great is that I, I just got to take just a couple seconds to tell you, I really had a hard time wrapping myself around the whole self-love thing. And finally somebody called me out on it because they were talking about it. I said, just stop, because it's driving me crazy. They go, why? And I go, I don't know. And so they kept digging in, and I found out that it's a spectrum, that I have people in my life that, talk about self-love, and they have show such narcissistic behaviors. And I
Yes.
thought, I don't want that. That's not me. And then on the other hand, I see this on social media where they make it all about love yourself. It's your number one. It's all about that. But they're not applying their advice personally, and they're miserable.
Mhm.
So I'm like, why are you putting that out there when you're not even using your own advice? And somebody pointed that out to me, and they go, that's why you don't like it, because that you're seeing that spectrum and you don't like any of that. And
Right.
so I thought about it some more, and I thought, um, what self-love really is. Love itself is an action. And I thought, loving yourself is loving yourself for who you are. Even though you're human, you make mistakes, and that's taking action, meaning you forgive yourself, you work on yourself, everything you're talking about, you work on yourself, you like and you're content with who you are, and you're proud of who you are, even though you're human and you make mistakes.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, "Oh, I got it." And that's what we need to understand, is that we just need to forgive ourselves when we make mistakes, love ourselves,
Right.
and then when that cup is full, because when we do that, that cup is full, and when it's full, we have so much that we can give to somebody else. And then when we and I see narcissistic behavior where it's all about them and they don't give. But it's you are showing that you love yourself, because not only have you accepted yourself and you love yourself and you're improving yourself, your cup is so full that you have the ability to give through what you're doing. And so you're giving back to the community and to our country by doing what you're doing. And that proves to me that you do love yourself. And that's what more men and women need to see in you and what you're doing. I am so passionate about what you're doing, because you're living it and it's an action, and you're showing to everybody how to do it.
I got one thing to say before we close out, because you know we didn't finish your five, right?
Okay.
We only
Not
got
one.
past yes, we only got past affirmation. And that's how good it is. So that means we have four more episodes. But I just wanted to say, uh, Jesus spoke the word, right? This is not religious. It's a theological conversation now.
Mhm.
Jesus spoke the word. He walked it. He lived it. People ostracized him. They
Mhm.
cast stone upon him and they killed him.
Yep.
He wasn't popular. Okay? Moses, same thing. Muhammad, same thing. My point is that whenever you're doing something that is good, probably spiritual, and more than likely against the grain, you'll get resistance. And people will scrutinize you with a fine tooth comb to find fault. And you'll give them fault each and every time. Why? Because we're humans, like you said. I'm not perfect. I don't try to be. I just try to do something different today, different from yesterday. Because I know that yesterday got me here, good and bad. So I got
Mhm.
to figure out how to keep elevating. And that's the whole thing. You know, it's all about progress. If you can't see a new step rung from yesterday, you don't see any growth, then you have to reevaluate something in your life. Because each day that we live, we're on this planet, we sin and we do wrong, we do bad. So we need to get better with that. And I don't want to die in a state of, like I said, I don't want to get, religious, but I will get spiritual. I don't want to die in a state of sin. Okay. I don't
Well,
want
that's
to,
powerful.
yes,
Wow.
I don't want to
Wow.
die in a state of sin.
Wow.
So uh, it's going to get too deep.
Yeah,
So,
we'll go there. I know, because I'm with you, and I'll go right there with you.
yeah,
We can
yeah,
go on for a couple more hours.
yes. And that's why I love having you as a guest on my show, because you're easy to talk to and relate to. And I think that we got a hit here. We got something going on, and we're going to keep it going, because we got, look at that. We got four more episodes of your subject that we didn't even finish tonight. And it was great. I think it was wonderful, because people, whoever's listening, whoever's watching my show, I just want to say to you guys, I appreciate you uh, taking time out of your busy schedule to click that button to actually watch my program. And when you get a chance, go to my website, which is e2wmag.com, eastowestmagazine.com. You can check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. But in closing, I want to say that everybody, we're all going through something. We're in perilous times. I don't have a good word. All I can say is follow the word. Open up that book that gets you there. and let that be your guide. And with that, I'm going to say peace. I'm out.
Wow. What? Oh, that was